giving way. I'm sure my honourable friend is aware of the large battery energy storage poles that will be required as we use more solar farms, but is he aware of the dangers they pose to the public and to the environment?
I'm most grateful to my honourable friend, the member for common sense, and because actually most of these solar farms are now including these huge battery storage systems, which we've now learnt are very dangerous. Yes, 3 of them have gone up in flames just this year in the United Kingdom. They cannot be put out, you have to let them burn out. And what happens when they burn? Toxic fumes, including hydrogen fluoride, and toxins seeping into the ground, as we have learnt from California, where one went up in flames. So there are massive dangers to these battery storage systems, which nobody is talking about. And by the way, no one knows, Madam Deputy Speaker, who is responsible for the health and safety of these battery storage systems. I will be delighted to give way to the Honourable Gentleman.
I thank the Honourable Gentleman for giving way. I have a solar development in my constituency, Harrogate and Knaresborough, and battery storage solution proposals too. The point he makes about the safety of them is something that I'm hoping to address through an amendment to the Planning and Infrastructure Bill, seeing the relevant fire authorities be a statutory consultee. Is that something you would support?
I'd be very interested, because it is the fact that actually the fire departments in counties up and down the country do not have the resources or the manpower or the willingness to take on the safety risk. And this should be the subject, I would suggest, Madam Deputy Speaker, of a separate, big, important debate, because we're all concerned about health and safety. And surely no one wants to be living next to something that is dangerous, toxic, and could force villages in their entirety to be completely evacuated because these things cannot be put out because of a process called thermal runaway. I'm conscious others want to speak, but we need, Madam Deputy Speaker, a greater understanding of the dangers of these battery storage systems.
Yeah. George Freeman.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I rise as a member for Mid-Norfolk and the chair of the All-Party Group for Agricultural Science and Technology. Norfolk members will be aware is Britain's first county. It's our leading agricultural county. Our Royal Norfolk Show is the premier show in the country, and it is absolutely in the vanguard of this country's agricultural industry and this government's stated, although I increasingly think cynically stated, commitment to increase food security. The truth is the globe has got to double food production in the next 25 years on the same land area with half as much water and energy, and Norfolk is in the vanguard of the technologies to do it, the drought-resistant crops, the gene-edited, disease-resistant crops at the Norwich Research Park. So, in my constituency in Mid-Norfolk, where farming and agriculture is the #1 industry, Banham Poultry, Cranswick Country Foods employing thousands in agriculture, machinery, supplies, haulage, food processing, I cheered on when I heard the government was going to support the agricultural industry and support food production. I cheered on their commitment to support UK science and the agricultural science that is key to that, achieving that challenge. But what we've seen since the election is the most extraordinary attack on farms, attack on the rural economy, attack on small businesses taking on jobs, and a proposal for a 7,500 acre, that's a 10,000 square mile, 20,000 kilometre solar farm from Castleacre through Swaffham to Dereham, in a constituency where agriculture, food and tourism are the #1 industry. Members opposite need to reflect. I want renewable energy. I want cheap energy. My constituents would like to be consulted. They're going to wake up 14 villages living in the middle of a power station without any planning, serious planning consultation at all, with no community benefit, and all the rates is being taken back by your ministers, their ministers, Madam Deputy Speaker, to London. This is an utterly cynical move for the industrialisation of the countryside, which will rebound very, very seriously on the party opposite, but more importantly on this country's food and energy systems. It's wrong.
Which brings us to the front bench spokesman, Liberal Democrat Edward Morello.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. Before I start, I should probably declare that prior to entering this House, I spent the better part of a decade working in renewable energy finance, and while I wouldn't claim to be a solar expert, I could certainly write a whole other speech debunking some of the things that were said today. For the record, solar panels have a lower carbon footprint per unit generated than the equivalent fossil fuel. They are 95% recyclable, and any solar farm development requires a glint and glare report before it gets approval if it's anywhere near an Air Force base or an airport. Moving on, though, because that list could go on for a very long time, those of us who actually believe in science know that tackling the climate change means bold, practical choices about how we decarbonise our economy. If we're serious about reaching net zero, tackling fuel poverty and protecting our countryside, we have to make renewables work for people as well as the planet. It's a point that I have often made, that as a sector, the solar is not particularly good at communicating the benefits of a just transition to the population at large. So let me be clear. Solar panel means cheaper bills for consumers, protecting against geopolitical insecurity, and a greener future for the next generation. We made substantial... Sure.
I'm listening carefully to what the Honourable Gentleman says, so that we in this House can hear clearly, and the whole country can hear clearly. Is he saying that the Liberal Democrats fully support solar farms?
Yeah.
Well, the Honourable Gentleman will be pleased to know that that is within the speech. We have made substantial progress on decarbonising our power grid. A decade ago, just 6% of our energy came from renewables. Today, that figure stands at 42%. And that is a national achievement we should be proud of. But we can go further, not just because of the climate emergency demands it, but because renewables are the cheapest source of energy available. Liberal Democrats believe strongly in expanding solar and other renewables to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels, improve energy security and bring down bills. Crucially, we believe this must be done while protecting our natural environment. A strategic land use framework is essential if we're serious about delivering net zero while also safeguarding our ability to produce food and restore nature. We are asking more and more of the countryside to produce food, capture carbon, generate clean energy, support biodiversity and provide space for housing, tourism and recreation. Without a joined-up approach, we risk pitting these priorities against one another. It is therefore vital a framework gives clear national guidance on where solar is most appropriate, avoids high-quality agricultural land wherever possible, and encourages dual-use solutions that support both energy generation and nature recovery. It must also enable local authorities to plan ahead with confidence, balancing competing pressures in a way that reflects the need and character of their local communities. Planning policy should not be dictated solely by where grid connections are available, but by a long-term vision of how we want our land to be used. It is a common claim that instead of putting solar on fields, we should put solar panels on rooftops and car parks. I do not disagree, but as someone who used to work in the sector, I feel obligated, and I feel like I make this point a lot, to explain the commercial realities. If utility-scale solar costs 50p per unit to build, rooftop solar is roughly double that, and carports double that again. Meanwhile, energy companies pay as little as 5 or 5.5p per unit for energy exported to the grid. That means that pure export rooftop and carport solar do not stack up financially for investors. This is something the government can fix. By mandating a minimum export price, we could unlock rooftop and carport investment, reduce pressure on farmland, and cut consumer bills. Yes, wholesale energy buyers would earn a little less, but consumers, communities, and the climate would all benefit. This is an easy win for the government that has stated its commitment to net zero. Ground-mounted solar will invariably remain part of the energy mix. We cannot reach our climate targets without it. But projects must be done right. That means prioritising low-grade land and ensuring new schemes come with tangible benefits for the communities they affect. Community benefit funds should receive a fair share of the wealth created. My honourable friend, the member for Taunton and Wellington, has tabled new clauses to the Planning and Infrastructure Bill to deliver just that, alongside local authority powers to invest in energy efficiency and support street-by-street upgrades to help reduce bills. In Scotland, for example, community benefit is worth £5,000 per installed megawatt per year. This means that a controversial large-scale solar project, such as the Kingsway solar farm in my honourable friend's constituency of South Cambridgeshire, would provide £2.5 million annually to the local community. That is the scale we should be talking about, and it has to be the community that determines how and where that money is spent. Today, about 2/3 of UK solar is ground-mounted, but rooftop solar does have a critical role to play, and the Liberal Democrats are proud to be leading on this issue. We welcome the government's decision to adopt our policy on mandating solar panels on new roofs, on the roofs of new homes, a core part of this and first step of our rooftop revolution. We call on ministers to go further by requiring new homes to meet net zero building standards and include provisions for solar generation. And when it comes to delivery, Liberal Democrats in local government are showing what can be done. From the Barkham Solar Farm in Wokingham to the Scanscale Park in Westmoreland and the thousands of car park panels installed at Portsmouth, we are delivering clean energy at scale, backed by communities. But delivery must also be responsible. I know that many of us are concerned about the number of solar farms being approved on our best agricultural land.